Hello and welcome into the MCC Week 1. My name is Bulbastorm, filling in for the host, Josh. Usually he is the one playing these games, but today he is sick, so I'm filling in. This is the 6 that we brought this week. It is going to be Willy Wonka the Mammo Swine, Daffy Duck the Quackwivel, Siren the Meloetta, OG Puff the Screamtail, Bugs Bunny the Cinderace, and Raging Melman the Raging Bolt. Our opponent has a Hisuian Footrest. I don't remember what that Pokemon's name is. We ball a Goldengo, a Talonflame, a Gliscor, a Primarina, and then an Okidogi. And that first mon was actually a Hisui Avalugg. So my opponent, or Josh's opponent in this case, the Terras are Avalugg and the Gudra. So in this game, the only Terra possible for our opponent is going to be that Avalugg, and that's good. Meanwhile, our captains are going to be Meloetta and Grafaiai, so the only captain we brought is going to be that Meloetta. We lead our OG Puff into the Primarina, just trying to get some big damage off. This specific set for the Screamtail is an Assault Vest, so it does specifically wall that quite a bit, hopefully offensively. And as we're waiting for our opponent to figure out what they're going to do, reminder, like the video, subscribe, and leave a comment. Let Josh know you're thinking about him. Dude has been sick for a week now, so I'm happy to fill in and help out with his videos. That does a sizable amount to the Primarina. It did about 35%. Meanwhile, it's going to flip turn, get some momentum back to our opponent. By the way, our opponent's name is TheArchDon, I believe, on Discord, and their team name is the Towering Titans. And this is also week 1 of the MMC, which is a singles dex Paldea League. So yeah, shout out all the mods that do that as well. But the Gliscor comes in, gets his poison heal off. So now it's just going to be annoying to deal with the entire game. And meanwhile, our opponent is taking a little bit more time than we are. Okay, the Psychic Heal does come out from Josh. The opponent does stay in, seemingly. And Toxic Spikes. Our opponent has set up Toxic Spikes. And that is not good because our only removal is the Cinderace. Luckily, Josh did bring Court Change this week, but it is going to be a huge factor because the only Pokemon on our team with heavy duty boots are Cinderace, and every single one of our other Pokemon can get poisoned. Alright, our opponent flips, or U-turns out once more, I believe. So our opponent's playing with a lot of momentum so far, trying to get themselves in an advantageous position. Meanwhile, the Screamtail has kind of dominated the field for our half. Here comes Adam Warlock, which is going to be that Goldengo. That is a super cool nickname. We are faster than the Goldengo. Naturally, I believe. And Josh clicked Flamethrower, I believe, just to get super effective damage off. He must be expecting this not to be scarfed, and he must also be expecting to live. Flamethrower, so we are going to see our opponent's Goldengo's Fire Berry pop, which means it is going to take less than 25% from that Flamethrower. And in return, our Screamtail is now paralyzed. So our opponent gives up some of his item slots up to get an advantageous point in the battle. They now have a big step up on this Pokemon. And a Hex is going to come out, and not quite enough to KO. We are going to see the OG Puff do about maybe 25-30% with that Flamethrower, which is good. That means that this Goldengo is within revenge. And now Josh is going to do something a bit radical. He's going to go straight into that Meloetta on a swap in. Must be expecting our opponent to hit Hex again. Maybe just not comfortable letting the Scream Tail go this early. That poison is going to be annoying to deal with. Recover. Our opponent is now at nearly full. Our Meloetta has been poisoned. We are in a little bit of a disadvantaged position up to this point. We are definitely behind when it comes to pieces. And, okay, a learned voice. He must be expecting a swap in. Is our opponent going to swap, or are they going to stay in? Is the question. Gholdengo is a naturally fairly bulky Pokemon, so it's one that can just sit on the field if it has to. Okay, that Alluring Voice is not going to be the play. That is a misstep by Josh. Okay, well, maybe not. Seemingly the point of this was to get that boost. The only downside is you did get chunked massively by this Gholdengo, and you are now on a timer because of the poison. You have maybe 2 turns left even if you KO 2 Pokemon. We are now going to be hitting Shadow Ball, which is a fairly standard move into this situation. Our opponent doesn't have anything that can take it massively well. Maybe we could see the Gliscor swap in here, or the Primarina would also make sense. And our opponent withdraws. Out comes Human Torch, which is the... Okay, the Talonflame comes in. And the Talonflame takes a little bit more than half. Meanwhile, our Meloetta takes about 40 damage from the poison. We are now on an awful timer. And now Josh must consider which Mon we are going to be sacking in this moment. Because one of our Mons are definitely going to get KO'd here. Only safe Clappin could be our Raging Gnomon. That being said, I personally wouldn't swap it in on the field with Toxic Spikes. We do have Daffy Duck that I did forget about earlier when it comes to removal. That being said, it did not bring Rapid Spin this week. It is a offensive set, triple Axel knockoff, Aqua Step, Brick Break, and down goes OG Puff. And that is going to be the first death for our season. OG Puff is down. Alright, so now our opponent is up 6-5, but we are going to send in our Pokemon with fast priority, and Thunderclap with our Raging Bolt, and Josh is put into a predicament here. Are you going to hit Thunderclap, or are you going to hit Calm Mind? And also, another question that comes into it is, are you going to predict a switch in? Because your opponent could easily change out here. This is a tough position. A lot of things to consider. Me personally, as the commentator, I think Calm Mind might be the best move here. You can Calm Mind into Rest if need be, or you can Calm Mind into Thunderclap if they do stay in. You do know, okay, that is what Josh hits, and the opponent uses Taunt. That is something I did not expect. That is a momentum-altering play. And that poison is just going to add up. Now you're going to click Thunderclap. Does our opponent let us get the Thunderclap, or are they going to switch out? It does seem like we have put ourselves in a position where the sweepers need to come in clutch. We are running out of options. It is going to be down to the Quacklevolt and Mamoswine when it comes to winning this game, just because of the poison that we have been inflicted. Okay. It did not work. Our opponent goes straight into the Gliscor, which was a good swap in no matter what in this position. And we have been chipped yet again by the poison, which is once again going to keep adding up, because we haven't had a clean chance to get our Cinderace on the field. In order to have a chance for the rest of this game, we need to get the Cinderace on the field immediately to get those spikes gone, or else all of our walls are going to be gone quickly, including our 2 setup Mons, which need time. They both need at least 6 turns, and with that tick damage, you are not going to get 6 turns because neither of them are that naturally bulky. Alright, we are going to attempt to sack off the Meloetta right here. And that is successful. Our opponent is now up 6-4. And we are at a massive disadvantage up to this point in the battle. Sending in Mamoswine is the obvious answer because we can just shoot off a loaded dice icicle spear, hoping it can catch one of our opponent's Mons. The only bad thing is that poison is still stacking up massively. Right? Josh hits for Trailblaze. He has decided that this is the win con. Protect. Our opponent scouts 1 turn just so they can see what will happen first. Trailblaze does not work on Protect, unfortunately. We are put in a tough spot after that Protect, because now our opponent has to wait, or now our opponent can go on the offensive and we have to wait. They can make the proper switches they need. Josh just hits Trailblaze 1 more time, which is a spooky game to play when you're poisoned and you've already lost 50 health. So we'll see if this can work out. And in comes Venom, which is the Okie Dokie. And that did not do any damage to it, but we did get the speed boost, which was the goal of using Trailblaze. So we are in a better position than we were before this turn started. What is our opponent going to do with this Okie Dokie? Drain Punch. He slotted Drain Punch, most likely specifically for the Mamoswine, but what we also know now is that this Okie Dokie is likely Scarfed. This is the only way I believe it can beat us in this moment, because we are at +1. And in which case, that is just a great bring by the opponent. That is not a very common way to run this Pokemon at all. We have sent in the Raging Melman as to try to way to beat this Venom today. And our opponent is 100% forced to switch, given that They're locked into Drain Punch. Josh has deduced that his Pokemon has been Scarfed. This is a long turn. Our opponent's trying to figure out the best way to get another Mon on this field. That isn't going to sink their game because they're at a huge advantage right now. They're trying to find a way to pivot in safely against this Pokemon. Alright, they went straight back into Moon Knight, which is that Gliscor. Every single time that Gliscor, or that this Raging Bolt touches the field, they're going to be sending in that Gliscor. Been made obvious. The unfortunate thing is there's nothing that Josh can do about it. You need Calm Minds up in order to hit it, but the thing is this Mon is going to be faster than us and likely Oko with high horsepower at this range. Josh hits another Calm Mind. Josh has deduced that this is the way to win the game. We do survive a high horsepower. I do not have the calcs in front of me, but you would have had to assume that a Dragon Pulse in this position probably would have done about 50%. And now with the Poison Damage, Josh has fallen to 56 HP with the Raging Melman, meaning if the Gliscor hits a high horsepower here, then the Raging Bolt is going to go down. In which case, I believe the only mons that are going to be near full health or full health would be the Quaquaval and the Cinderace. And down goes to Raging Melman. This battle has turned into a 6-2 bout. In comes Daffy Duck. That is the only way to get through this Gliscor. The question is, will we KO Gliscor? Is it possible? Gotta hit Aqua Step because we need the speed boost. And our opponent is going to make a swap once more. In comes the Goldango. Which took about maybe 35% from our Aqua Step. We are forced to hit knockoff here. And the knockoff does not KO the Goldango only because that it used its berry early on. And our opponent uses Recover, and they are now up to nearly 65-ish%, which is a lot of health for a Goldango. That mod can be built to be fat, and it looks like our opponent did that. They likely have at least major HP investment, and assuming the matchup, they likely had some defensive investment, whether it be special defense or standard defense. This mon has been built to be thick. We get another speed boost with the Quack. The only issue is that it is going to go down to poison after the Hex from the Goldango. So our opponent came with some heat this week, getting the manual T-Spikes up, and then from there trying to get a Hexmon. I mean, Goldango's the best of the best Hexmons. It's a very, very tough matchup. In comes Bugs Bunny, which assumedly can take a KO here. Josh could do the funniest thing here by hitting Court Change, but I do not believe he will be doing that, not at this point of the battle. In comes Venom. That is the Okie Dokie coming back in. That did a lot of damage to an Okie Dokie. And Josh spam clicks A to get through the turn. He thinks he's faster. Or maybe he just, this is the only move to really do. Drain Punch does more than half of the Okie Dokie. And if we can hit this Pyro Ball, we are going to potentially get a KO here. Pyro Ball comes off and it hits. And the Okie Dokie lives on less than 20% health. Meaning that today, this battle is going to end as a 6-0 loss to our friend TheArchDon. And that is not the way that we wanted the season to start, but we know that Josh is going to bounce back ASAP. And as this final turn concludes, down goes Bugs Bunny. The victor this week will not be the starter supreme. That being said, not all hope is lost. We will come back next week stronger, and it's time to win this season. On Josh's behalf, my name is Bulba. Peace out, guys.